You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yo friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Do hope you're doing well, mate. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the last video of July actually in Chelsea News. Speaking about Gallagher, maybe Enzo Fernandez made up with his teammates, looking like they're friends again-ish, even if they're not following him on social media yet. And a bit more on Victor Osimhen. I'm going to jump into an article from 90 Min talking about that and what's going on here. What is going on here? So yeah, man, thank you for joining me as always. I love you all very much, and I do I'm really thankful for the support here on the channel, Football Therapy. If you dig the content, let me know, comment, drop a like. If you really dig it, why not subscribe? Hit the bell if you choose to. All right, first of all, yes, training photos. Wesley Fofana, Malo Gusto, let's have a look. Bing! So yeah, this is Enzo Fernandez, of course, training with the Chelsea squad, giving a little cuddle to French player Malo Gusto, who was one of the, 5 or 6 Chelsea black French players who have unfollowed Enzo Fernandez. He is... I mean, he's not smiling, but, there is a professionalism there. There is a moment here between Wesley Fofana and Enzo Fernandez. I wonder if he's marking... I mean, I don't think they're in an open piece of play, so I don't think he's marking him. I think he's just sort of putting his arm around him. Look, we've already heard from Enzo Maresca in his pre-match press conference for the game tonight against Athletic Club America. Wait, who are we playing? Our next pre-season game. He said, look, they're all laughing, they're having dinner together at Squashed. I think the fact how there's published photos of them, arms around each other, we can just wash our hands of this. I don't say this in a way of thinking like, oh, it was nothing, mate. I do think it was a serious situation. I've been very, very firm on that throughout reporting or reacting to the reports throughout this whole situation. I think it's a very serious situation, but I do think, like I said, the very first video when I reacted to the story, the very first video I said, look, I don't think Enzo Fernandez is a racist at all. I just think this is a moment of ignorance through perhaps a cultural insensitivity. Lots of Argentinian players were singing it, and seemingly it's proved right. We've had lots of people come out and defend Enzo Fernandez, and I think something good will come out of this. Enzo, of course, donating to an anti-discrimination charity's one, but people learning about how you can't do this stuff. Anyway, that's it, guys. We are putting this story to bed. It's tucked up in bed, and we're moving on with our lives. Isn't that a nice thing? We're going to talk about Osimhen. Let's speak about how the loan is unlikely. It's not completely put off the table. And now I'll reiterate what I said this morning, that if David Ornstein says something, there's gonna be something behind it. My position is he is the leading authority on transfers, and that position is maintained. Yes, Fabrizio Romano probably has a broader scope of contacts for international football, but when it comes to these sort of like elite English clubs, Ornstein's the guy. He's the guy, bro. Just because he doesn't have a catchphrase like, here we go. He is the guy. I'm telling you, he's the guy. So, the fact how he mentioned a loan, it would have been discussed. Of course, there's been people coming out since saying, oh, there's no loan. But that was, his agent, and, maybe there's been briefings since as well. I do think there was even if it's not the case now, that there was a discussion about a loan with an option to buy. We are going to speak about Osimhen in a little bit more detail in just a moment. And like I said, I'm going to cite this article from 90min.com. But I do want to quickly speak about Conor Gallagher. The Mail's been speaking about him. Other publications have been speaking about Conor Gallagher. How he could still choose, of course, not to go to Atletico Madrid. Of course, he's got 12 months left on his deal. He could run it down, go on a free transfer. Chelsea fans, he wouldn't be like... causing issue with his image to Chelsea fans. I think Chelsea fans will love him and be thankful for his work regardless. But he might fall out with the sporting directors and Chelsea ownership and hierarchy. But who cares about that? That's for them to deal with, mate. If he chooses to stay and just run his contract down, then good on him, I say. Let him do it. But at the same time, if he wants to go and play football, if he wants to, you know, say, all right, Chelsea, thanks for being, you know, a good club to me. Here's a thanks back by agreeing to a sale. You know, I'm not saying he should do that. He can do whatever the ruddy heck he wants, mate. Big time. He's earned that. He's been at Chelsea since he was 7. He's, you know, he's been a model professional all the way through. It's his career. He's a really important part. He can do whatever he wants. There are conflicting reports that, you know, one publication or journalist might say Chelsea and Atletico Madrid are pretty much there in terms of agreeing a fee, a transfer package for Gallagher to Atletico Madrid. Some people are suggesting that we are still a way off in terms of agreeing. You know, of course, I think it was the Mail. Forgive me, I'll have to confirm. But there was a publication that said Chelsea had originally, roughly, loosely agreed with Aston Villa to sell him for £57 million. £57 million. Of course, they went for Amadou Onana for a lot of money, for similar money, by the way. Of course, he's a bit younger, slightly, ever so slightly. A bit more, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. He's not more offensive, Amadou Onana. Interesting. I get it. I get it. He's a great player, Onana. So, you know, it's fine. I dig it. But £57 million for Gallagher on 12 months left on his deal. Whew, crazy. But yes, no, it didn't happen. And, you know, of course, Atletico Madrid, who granted, as a La Liga club that isn't called Barcelona or Real Madrid, they just, despite being a big club out there, they just don't have that same Premier League juice, that same money. You know, again, they play in the Champions League, they get the Champions League revenue, but still, you know, the Premier League, especially like, you know, the bigger clubs in the Premier League, they just have so much more money. They originally offered 20 million for Conor Gallagher, not 57, pretty much a third of that, 20 million. And it's been, you know, broadly reported that they've sort of like went, all right, you know, not 20 million, but maybe they'll squeeze to like 32, 33, 34, 35 million. Which Chelsea might just think, he's not going to re-sign. There's speculation that, you know, there's a small chance he could re-sign, but I think that's dead in the water personally. So I think Chelsea will just eventually go to Atletico Madrid. All right, 35 million, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And what it does mean, it means it's up to Conor Gallagher to make the decision what he wants to do with his career at this point. I was going to say personally in his position, but then I was going to say, but I'm a Chelsea fan. I want to play for Chelsea. And then I thought, oh yeah, so is he. But if I was his advisors that were professional, external, not a Chelsea fan, you know, an impartial advisor, I'd say go to Atletico Madrid, mate. They're going to love you. They're going to love your tenacity. They're going to love how you play out there. You're going to start every game. You're going to be playing in the Champions League. Speak to Trippier. Apparently, you know, there has been reports that he's spoken to Kieran Trippier about his time there and heard really positively about it. I think you should. If we are not going to use him, and that's the decision of the sporting hierarchy at Chelsea, which I don't necessarily align with, but if that is the decision, bro, go to Atletico Madrid and have a lovely time. You deserve it. Late transition there. All right, so I'm going to jump into this article now about Victor Osimhen. And see what's going on. Napoli's stance on selling Victor Osimhen this summer has somewhat softened. 90 Min understands, with a potential swap deal involving Romelu Lukaku an option. Osimhen has been a significant target for Chelsea for several years. Did we want him in the Lille when he was at Lille? But while Napoli are prepared to part ways with the striker, their previous insistence that his release clause of over £100 million plus, it was like £120 million, dude, it was crazy, to be paid contributed to the decision to look at other targets. It's not the case anymore. Napoli have held talks, of course, with Paris Saint-Germain, with the two sides failing to reach an agreement over a fee. They are now prepared to relax their stance and will be open to a deal that would bring top target Romelu Lukaku to from Chelsea in an exchange. So yeah, of course, Antonio Conte wants Lukaku to replace Osimhen in his squad, and talks over the two strikers swapping places have been held, although sources have confirmed. Just quickly, we don't need to reiterate too much about Lukaku. We know Antonio Conte wants him. He has performed to an elite level under Conte. Elite. Conte has the like Romelu Lukaku like hacks, the cheat code, the up, down, left, right, ABC start. If you get that reference, comment down below. Yes. So yeah. So he wants Lukaku. Lukaku's agreed a 3-year contract with Napoli. They want him. They want him. So Chelsea, I mean, they each other have kind of like, I'd say Chelsea have the upper hand in the sense of, you know, we could sell Lukaku. So Lukaku's not coming back to Chelsea. If he doesn't go to Napoli, he'll go Saudi. I feel like we will offload Lukaku. Osimhen is tough. Osimhen's a better asset. He's worth much more money, but it feels like it's tougher for them. So I'd argue, and he's not going to stay at Napoli either. Like Lukaku's not going to stay at Chelsea. So I feel like we've just slightly got the edge. Yeah. So sources have confirmed to 90 Min that Chelsea would still need to pay around 60 million quid in any swap deal. Fine, bro. I sign up for that right now. I'll give you 60 million quid cash. Here it is. Although it'll probably be like this. Actually, would it be like this? Or would it be like this? Depends on the note. The notage. Give them the P's and give them Lukaku. Lukaku is what? 35 million pounds. So that is 95 million pounds. But you're doing a part exchange as well. So, you know, it's always a little bit inflated rather than straight cash. I would do it. I would do it. That's just me though. It's not my 90 million pounds. Napoli are well aware that their negotiating stance has been weakened by a number of events, including public frustration from Osimhen's agent, who, like the Nigerian international himself, is believed to have been angered by the club's attempts to replace him without first living up to their promise of sanctioning a departure. Yeah, there's been a gentleman's agreement at Napoli that he can go, and to be honest, man, like Conte's even he referenced that when he was announced as manager. That's long been like the case in the discussion. The finances of any move for Osimhen are a concern of a concern for Chelsea, who have discussed the possibility of signing the 25-year-old on loan with a buy option, despite the denials from Osimhen's agent. Yeah, so the agent came out and was like, no, he didn't directly deny the loan. A lot of people kind of made that link, but I think he was just saying, like, don't believe what you're reading about my client right now, rather than this particular category is untrue. Do you know what I mean? So, Napoli would expect an obligatory purchase clause of any such deal, which essentially means you're buying him regardless, but people do loans with an obligation to buy, usually for financial reasons, right? For navigating, for getting through a particular financial FFP window or a PSR window. Like, we just need 12 more months, mate, so do us a loan with an obligation. I mean, I think so. Feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong. An obligation then. Although Chelsea could explore an option which could become an obligation based on their performance next season. So this I can dig. I mean, obviously we were all saying, or certainly I was saying, but other people I was listening to on podcasts and YouTube and, you know, social media, everyone kind of thought it was too good to be true with the loan with an option, because if it does great, buy him for the agreed price. If he doesn't, fine. You know, Jackson, Gu, and Kunku, different striker that you buy. It did seem a little bit too good to be true. But this, performance-based, is right up my alley, because this is like, you know me, guys, I love the performance-based contracts, the incentivized contracts. I think that's really good. You can be like, right, if Osimhen scores 15 plus non-penalty goals in the Premier League, so if he scores over 15 non-penalty goals in the Premier League, you gotta buy him, right? And then also, if you're not liking him for one reason or another, and he gets to 14 Premier League goals, you just bench him. I don't know if that's even possible, but yeah, I dig that. I think that's much better. At this stage, no offer has been placed, and talks have been more focused around Lukaku for now. Well, it's still a solution to a problem, getting rid of Lukaku, right? Chelsea are not necessarily the favourites to sign Osimhen. No. Don't kill my hype with this silliness. He still remains a key target for PSG. The French side are likely to have the finances to match any deal struck by Chelsea and Napoli, although the Blues' ability to use Lukaku as part of their deal is our advantage, Paris Saint-Germain. So you're just going to have to, you know, manger la merde. Yeah, I mean, we also won't pay this. Let's be real. Like, we won't be able to pay the same wages as PSG. Just straight up. We just straight up won't be able to pay them. But I think well, it's an idea that he is loosely a Chelsea fan. Drogba is his idol. PSG are sort of plastic state-backed club. You know, come Chelsea, mate. It's not all about money. You make plenty of money in your career. Lukaku has agreed personal terms with Napoli and is prepared to accept a pay cut. Yeah, nearly 50% pay cut. So fair play to him. To reunite with his former Inter boss Conte, aka Daddy, as Tuchel called him, as he awaits a positive resolution between the talks of the two clubs. Ooh-hoo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, you know, I would love Osimhen. I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm in the hype. I'm in the zone. I will, you know, he's just exciting, isn't it? In a world of, with the greatest deal of respect, in a world of Renato Vegas and Dewsbury Halls, in a world of Philip Jorgensens and other footballers, and Osimhen could be just the tonic. You know what I mean? Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I'll be really keen to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you for joining me as always. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this YouTube channel, Football Therapy. It's the best one. So come along for the ride. Alright friends, hope to see you back soon. Peace.